Welcome to the Care Living podcast brought to you by the Staying Close team. This is the space where we share stories, spark conversation, and explore the journey from care to relevance. Let's get started.
Okay, imagine you wake up one morning as the UK Prime Minister, you're in a post for like a day and you can't refuse it. What's the first thing you would do, and what else would you do to improve the lives of caregivers?
If I woke up as Prime Minister, I think the first thing I would do would be change the education system. I think there's many flaws in it. I think there's many things that need improving. It's very outdated. It's all about children being seen and not heard, sitting in rows, put your hand up when you want to speak. This is all based off Victorian factory work. And I think it needs an update. I think the curriculum needs to change. I think what we teach young people now needs to be improved, such as like paying taxes, mortgages, how to start a business, how to do all those kind of things that are going to grant you the freedom in life to do what you want to do. And I would definitely put more emphasis on teaching about the care system, making sure that people know about it. Because when you look at issues faced in this country, you've got loads of systematic problems. You've got, overcrowded jails. You've got cost of living crisis. Let me get my words right. But one of the most unknown problems, and you can walk down the street and you can ask people, do you know what a care leaver is? And 99% of them won't know what that is. So I think maybe getting awareness around that and improving what kids teach or what kids learn,
Yeah, I definitely agree with that bit. Because, for example, if I'm walking down, as what you said, and if I ask somebody, do you know about care leavers? They're not going to know. So I agree with that bit. What is the most scariest thing becoming independent, going out there on your own?
For me, the most scary thing on my journey to becoming independent was, I actually had a few, maybe 2 or 3 major issues. The first one being I was very isolated and very lonely. Obviously in school, when I first went into care, no one really knew, so I didn't have anyone to confide in. And as that continued and I went on to living in my own place and having my own flat, obviously there's no one there with you, so it can become very lonely. And especially when I have my own business, which means I work by myself as well. So a lot of my days are spent by myself, which is nice to have your own space and time and privacy. But when you spend every day like that, it becomes a bit burdening. You start to feel like you're detached from society and the rest of the people around you. As well as you have a lack of guidance and model figures. When you're growing up in a family home, you've got your mother figure that teaches you love and empathy and caring, and when you've got your father figure who teaches you how to be strong and resilient, and they also guide you on what direction you want to head, what job you want to get. They can help you with writing a CV. There's all these different things that parents help do that when you live by yourself, you don't have that assistance to do those things. And that for me was really, really difficult. I mean, not having a father figure as a young man is probably one of the things I've struggled with most. And I've been able to find that in other people in my life, which has obviously been helpful. And yeah, like that for me was the 2 biggest issues.
Okay. And when you said that, when you was growing up, no one knew what you was going through, or was that when you say no one knew, did you have at least one person you could say, your mom, my sister, my brother, or?
I'm an only child. When I was growing up, my dad was drug addict. He went in the home. It was just me and my mum, and we were very isolated from the rest of the family due to her own mental health issues. And yeah, it was literally just me and my mum growing up.
Okay. And what would you say? What's the biggest challenge you faced since being independent?
Well, loneliness, as I just mentioned, is obviously a big one. And along with that comes your self-worth. When you're isolated from people, you kind of forget about yourself and your worth and all that kind of stuff. Housing's been an issue as well. I spent some time on and off homeless. Which direction I want to head in life as well. Only now at 22 years old, after spending some time traveling and away from work, do I only know what direction I want to go with my life. My mental and physical health as well, when I was first starting to get independent. Obviously, because my mental health wasn't in a great place, my physical health wasn't either. So that was one of the first things I had to do when I started to get well again. And was definitely one of the biggest challenges, making sure I'm eating right, making sure I'm drinking enough water every day, which sounds dumb, but I've started drinking 2 liters of water a day recently, and I feel so much better. My anxiety is so much less. I feel like I have 10 times more energy to be productive, which helps battle my depression. Um, and probably entering work, when you're feeling a bit lost, you don't know what you want to do with yourself, so getting into work can be difficult as well. But I'm it's getting there. So
And I know you said that you, like, from a younger age, you was always isolated. Like who was like one person that you could say that you could count on in terms of, support and stuff like that?
when I was younger, probably not anyone, if I'm honest. It wasn't until things really started getting bad that people started like finding out about the situation. But there was one person, when I was really, really young, he was a family friend, and he worked in one of the same places as my mum, and they became friends, and he ended up babysitting me when I was 8 years old. And still to this day, I'm 22, so what is that, 14 years later? He's still one of my closest mates. Like, I volunteer with him, I go out with him on weekends. He's literally seen me grow up from start to finish, and he knows the whole journey. And obviously, he's got his own life and his own things to take care of. But like, if I need him, he's there. And when I was younger, especially, he was there for me. Like, he, he gave my mum money, helped her out financially, helped me out. And yeah, he's probably one of my best mates and my anchor, and I owe him a lot. So yeah.
Okay, so like, as a care leaver and being in staying close, did staying close or St. Christopher's help you in any way? Like,
Yeah. I still to this day go for runs. I still go for runs with my support worker every week. We're training, we do 5Ks and we're training towards a half marathon together. So it's nice that they're still there to help me set long-term goals, to help me figure out things like direction. Whenever I'm feeling like a bit frustrated or lost, I know that they're there to talk. I can call them up. If I'm having problems with housing, they're there. They know what to do. They've been amazing to me. Yeah.
that's so good to hear, and that's our aim. And like, being in St. Christopher's, like, what did you wish they told you from the start? Like, moving in on your own, what did you wish they told you? Like, what's one of the biggest thing you wish St. Christopher's or staying close would have said? You know?
That's a tough one. Do you know what? And do you know why I think that's such a tough question to answer? Because there's a lot that they probably could have told me at the start, but I wasn't in the right place mentally to take that information in.
Yeah.
So I think it doesn't matter what they would have told me. I would have been in the same position anyway. I think maybe a bit more emphasis on exercising and reading could have been two things I wish I was told to do more. But no, I mean, obviously you have to be able to help yourself, and if you're not able to do that, their advice isn't going to help you. So I think I had to get myself right first before it would have made a difference.
If you had a chance, what would you say to like the decision makers who have the power to like improve care experience for children or young people? Like, what would you say to them if you have a chance?
And it is like, but I don't know. For me personally, if I went to my local authority, I would say there's too much judgment on previous work and education history. So obviously, as a lot of care leavers have gaps in education and work, and I think maybe getting some sort of change around that made so that employers are able to see why that is happening for care leavers, why there is a gap in that. Because obviously when you're being moved across the country for whatever it may be, or you're moving schools, you're gonna have those gaps. And then because of that, you have, like, I've got no A levels. Like, I started going into care during my A levels, and because of that, I don't have any. And now that affects me when it comes to applying for jobs and things like that. But when I do interviews and they meet me for who I am as a person rather than on paper, it makes a massive difference. And a lot of the time I end up getting the job a lot quicker than if I sent in a CV or something like that. And I think some sort of awareness or change around that sort of process for care leavers, so they don't have to hand in these almost empty pieces of paper, and then feel like they haven't got enough history and background to be able to work those jobs.
Yeah.
So something along those lines, but I wouldn't know what exactly.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you. You've been in care and you're currently out of care right now. So like, you know, since being in care, now you're out of care, you basically a care leaver. What would you say, like, your journey, like, was it a good experience or a bad experience for you in terms of being in there? Like, what would you say, and what would you say you like, have you growing onto, you know, do you get what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean. And this is going to sound weird, but I am so grateful for the trials and the trauma that I went through. And I know it sounds weird because most people would choose, if they could, to live a trauma-free life, but I genuinely believe that trauma isn't trauma if you take a positive away from it. And all the negative things that happened to me with family, friends, accommodation, myself, those were all lessons that I could learn from to go forward with. And, you know, like I said, it's only a negative if you let it be. If you choose to turn something into a positive, which is what I've done, you know, I've gone from being in care to speaking about my situation, being, you know, working on being a public speaker. You know, I developed a business that aims to hire young people in care, people who've been in prison, people who struggle with accommodation, and give them those opportunities in order to change their life around. Now, I don't think someone's past defines their future. Anyone can make a change. Anyone can get their head right. Anyone can do something positive with themselves. And for me, it was having to go through those negative experiences that taught me that I'm able to do something positive with myself. And now, you know, I volunteer for soup kitchens. I do annual fundraisers for charity. I volunteer on Christmas. I do all these things where I'm able to give a bit of myself back to the people, because when I was in that situation, I didn't have anyone doing that for me, you know, and now I'm able to be the person I needed growing up, and that's all I want, you know, as long as I can be uh, you know, a responsible adult, a role model, someone that these kids can look up to and actually realize that, you know, especially nowadays, like when you look in the media, look at all the violence, all the gang violence, all the stabbings, all these crazy things that are going on, and all these kids see. They don't look up to footballers anymore. They look up to like drill rappers and all these things, and that's not the type of people you should be looking up to. Like, for me as well, I found Jesus. Jesus changed my life. He saved me, and it's what you need to. It's our responsibility as the previous generation to teach the next generation. I believe that with my whole heart. And the problem is, nowadays we're teaching the new generation the wrong lessons. You know, they're always on TikTok. If you look at physical education, it's the lowest it's ever been. Kids are only forced. Kids are only have to do PE 1 hour a week. Like, that's the bare minimum. No, they're not encouraged to read or find what they want to do. It's always about becoming an employee or doing what the system tells them to do. And I don't think that's right. I think genuine happiness comes from freedom, and freedom comes from hard work. And we need to teach these kids that hard work is the way forward. You know, easy money goes quick. You know, you can do all these crimes, you can do whatever you want, but that's not going to last you. You end up dead or in jail, and I've seen it happen. I've got people I went to primary school with who are now in jail for murder, and it's, you know, we both went the same way, same primary school, ended up in the same care home, but both of us are on completely different routes, because it's what you choose to make of your life, and the lessons you choose to learn from it. And I believe that wholeheartedly with every fibre of my body. So
I totally agree with what you just said. And you made a point that you said that you didn't have no one, like, in terms of you didn't have no help. Was staying close, like, was it an option for you to, like, go to, staying close and be like, listen, I'm drained, literally going through it right now. Was staying close an option?
It wasn't immediately, but it was later on down the line.
Okay.
Once I'd started to work myself and get into a better place, it then opened up for me. And it has helped. I mean, sometimes I just go for lunch with my old key worker and just talk about life, get stuff off my chest. They help to guide me in the right direction, my next steps. So yeah, staying close, it was a good option for me.
That's good to hear. Okay, I know you're now a care leaver. For care leavers out there, experience or anything.
Read, because I only started getting into reading recently, but I've seen a massive change in myself and my confidence, and it's what you read. So the book for me that really changed my mindset and helped me the most was a book by a man named David Goggins, who's he's still a Navy SEAL. He's a public speaker. He does all these amazing things, and he came from this really abusive home when he was a child, and things were hard for him. He was extremely overweight. He didn't know what he wanted to do with his life, and he just switched on, got to work. He went from being extremely overweight, got down really fit, joined the Navy SEALs, does ultra marathons, does public speaking, does loads of amazing things. He tries to help other people, inspire others. His book, Can't Hurt Me, was probably the first book I properly sat and read through, and it absolutely changed my life. I mean, I've got it here with me, and you can literally see how many pages are just tagged or highlighted or something, and it's just it's an amazing read. I'd recommend it to anyone. A second book that really helped me as well was a book called Reasons to Stay Alive by Matt Haig, and it sounds a lot more depressing than it actually is, but it's basically just his story on dealing with depression and anxiety, and things that you can take away from it and learn yourself as well. And that was one of the books I read when I was feeling really, really depressed, and it slowly helped me sort of get back on my feet and find ways to enjoy life again. So it all depends on what you read, the information you take in. I've got another book called Surrounded by Idiots, and that's on the 4 different personality types. And that for me has been really amazing, because I struggle to understand who I am as an identity and as a person. And that book has sort of helped me to understand myself a bit more, understand my reactions, my triggers, my personality type as a whole. And when you understand yourself more, you're able to understand the world around you a lot more. And I think that's the first step for any care leaver who is currently going through hard times. Is you're in a position where you don't understand what's going on. You don't understand why you're there. You don't understand what's happened. Obviously, you may know X, Y, Z, but yourself as an identity and as a person, you don't fully understand that. And the first step to becoming better and successful and to be happy in life is to understand who you are as a person. And that would be my number one step for anyone.
Thank you. And that's interesting because I would try to read more often.
I honestly, like, my new routine every morning now is I wake up, shower, breakfast, and then I spend, if I can, obviously if I have the time, I spend an hour reading in the morning.
Yeah.
And it's such a good way to just calm your mind down first thing in the morning, because a lot of people, when they wake up, first thing they do is scroll on your phone, and then that sets you up for a negative day, because your phone messes up your head. So you can just sit in silence, read for a bit. It doesn't have to be an hour. It can be. I started reading by doing 5 pages because I couldn't get into it. I really didn't enjoy it. I didn't like it. So I'd say 5 pages every day. It's not a lot. It's not hard to do, and that's, you slowly build up targets, and that's my morning routine.
But that's good. I would say well done to you, because
Thank you.
Yeah. Now, in terms of 6 months or in a year time, I would say.
So I recently just got back from a 3-month volunteering trip in South Africa, which was incredible. Like, honestly, I can't even put into words the experience I had. And then I came back just before Christmas. Did some volunteering for Christmas. Currently just working part-time in kitchens. I've started a business which I'm looking to grow this year. I got my business loan approved by the Prince's Trust. So my goal is to get a food truck, start doing that full time, start doing like private catering events, things like that, maybe some festivals and markets. And I'm also looking to join the army, maybe as a chef or as a paratrooper in a few years to come. So it's all up in the air, just seeing where life takes me. Maybe a few public speaking events if they come up, but yeah.
That's interesting. And did you say that you went to South Africa?
Yeah. So that was with a program called Rally International, and it was actually a joint venture between Rally and the Care Leavers Covenant. And so the Care Leavers Covenant were basically funding the opportunity to spend 10 weeks either in Costa Rica or South Africa. And there were 7 winners out of hundreds of applications. There were 7 people who got it. And thankfully, thank the Lord, I was one of them.
Wow.
And so my flights were paid for, my insurance was paid for, the exhibition itself was paid for. The only thing I really had to do was fundraise for my kit and my vaccines, which was pretty simple enough. A very lovely lady donated £600 to the fundraiser, so that pretty much sorted me out completely. And it was split into 3 phases over the 10 weeks. The first phase was environment, so we spent 3 weeks basically living on a game reserve with no phones, no internet. We didn't have proper working showers. We had bucket showers, so we had a JoJo full of water, which would heat up in the sun that day, and then those would be our hot showers if we were lucky. No working toilets, long drops, things like that. And we just saw these, beautiful animals every day. We created fire breaks. We made roads. We helped with soil erosion. We did tree spotting, bird spotting, raptor spotting. It was incredible. And then we spent the next 3 weeks volunteering with a local village in something that was called an eco village. So that's where they all sustainable, they recycle and all that kind of stuff. So we were helping with the kids' lessons, which was amazing. These kids, man, like obviously they come from like such difficult backgrounds, but they're so full of energy and passion. And I remember one time we were walking back from the local church and this pickup truck speeds past us with these kids in the back. They're waving to me as they're driving past, and it just makes you feel so warm inside. And like anytime we were working, like we would do sports days with them, we would like create lessons for them and teach them biodiversity and all that kind of stuff. And they would warm up to you so quick, and they would like grab your hand and be like, come play, do this, do that. And honestly, like I've never seen anything like it. Like these kids are just so in the moment all the time, and it was lovely. And then we got to work with the grannies and make pap and serve the kids lunch, and we fixed benches, we tidied their whole classroom. So they had one classroom, and it was pretty big, but it was obviously quite old. And so we took everything out of the classroom, cleaned it all, like swept it all. We made this mosaic in the floor out of bottle caps in the shape of a heart, which was the South African flag. And they loved it, and they were like, we made hopscotch and snakes and ladders in their classroom, and they loved it. They were immediately as they came in the room, they just started playing. They just started, trying to get us to play with them. And honestly, like that, I think that was the most rewarding part of the whole experience, was just seeing these kids, man, like such wonderful young minds. And then we spent the next 3 weeks hiking through the Drakensberg Mountains. So we were wild camping. We had to carry all our tents, all our cooking equipment, all our food with us. And we just spent the whole day walking. And it was actually quite incredible. You'd wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning, you'd pack up and leave camp by 5, and then you'd walk for anywhere from 2 to 10 hours. And like, just depends when you got to camp. And it was amazing. Like the views, the sunsets, the our guides, they're the most amazing people. Like, they're so friendly. Like, Lulu would always say, "Welcome to South Africa." Like, and it was just every time you woke up, every time he got out his tent, he'd have a cigarette in his mouth and he'd just go, "Welcome to South Africa." And that was what we woke up to every day. And he was just the best. And the people I met, the things I learned, like, and they write this almost like a report of like how you did while you were away, and you can use that for your CV as well. So it gave me a lot of opportunity, and then I got to travel and see the world and see like these amazing views. I saw hippos, I saw leopards, I saw ostriches. Like, it was absolutely just incredible. And I think as well, like, any young person out there, I'd say travel. Like, you learn so much about yourself traveling. And like, I'm going to Italy in July, and I'm spending 8 days hiking through the Dolomites, which is the Italian mountains, and I'm going to Scotland in June, and we're doing a week of wild camping and hiking, and you just fall in love with just being in nature and, being away from the city, and just, it's so peaceful. It's lovely. I'd recommend it to anyone. Just take yourself away and just enjoy the peace and quiet while you can. Yeah.
From what you just explained to me, you sound like you had a time.
I wish I could like show people, but you just can't. Like, you can't do that. So yeah. Any time I think of it, like, I'll sit there sitting on my sofa and I'll just start smiling. Like, I'm just thinking like all these funny moments. Yeah. It's just
But that's good. I think, as what you said, young people should explore more. As myself, but it takes time.
Yeah, of course. Like, those things don't happen overnight. But that's why I'm saying, and this was something I missed earlier, take every opportunity life throws at you. Because I could have sat and read that email and gone, oh, maybe not. But instead of just debating it, I just did it. I just applied. I got it, and because of that, I was able to see the other side of the world for 3 months. Like, you have to take the opportunities that come your way. There is no point dilly-dallying. Like, just get on with it. Just say yes, say okay. It was, of course, I was nervous. Like, I was bricked before I left. I was calling everyone up, going, I don't know if I can do this. And then I just got on with it, and you felt so much better for it. And you learn, like I said, you learn about yourself. And especially if you journal while you're traveling, that's what we did. For the whole 10 weeks, 3 months, we were journaling every day, and you're able to reflect and learn. And like, even like when I go home 6 months from now, I can pick up that journal and I can read through all those amazing days, like, and what I did. And it's something that really helps me. So
journaling was something that you did before, or it's just you learned to do that once?
So I journaled a bit before I left. It was really on and off. I'd never write more than a few lines. I'd be good at writing my gratitude and my daily checklist, but I wasn't good at like reflecting on the day. And then in South Africa, it was like just so peaceful. You were able to just really take that step back and just say, okay, where am I in life? Where am I in my headset? And it makes a massive difference. So I haven't been journaling as much as I'd like to since I've been back, but settling back to reality is such a used to the grey skies, the cold weather. That's the thing.
When you're on holiday and then just to think about coming back to your own country, it's just nah. And when you're coming back, when you're on the plane, you see the difference from being in South Africa, and then you're coming into another country and you see the grey sky, the rain is falling, everybody's so miserable.
The day I left, it was 45 degrees. I came back to 5-degree weather.
I can imagine.
I wanted to cry. But I think the part I did miss was my bed. Like, obviously, when you're in I kid you not, I had like a little yoga mat that I slept on, like that thick, and a sleeping bag. And I don't miss that. So
no. Okay, cool. We wrap up